here. We're going to get Cole out of here at a good time. He's got things he's got to get to tonight. So, Cole, come on up, and we're gonna do a little quick talk, and we'll pepper you with questions as well. So,
sounds good.
I'll kind of sit up here too with you if that's helpful, and we'll guide you if you need it.
Okay.
You want to stay here today?
Yeah, no, that's cool. Right here is good.
Get it. Tell us who you are and what Appraiser does.
Okay, so I work for Aspenwood in Sandpoint, and there's 5 of us in there. I'm just in the supervision phase. I've been doing it about 2 years. So I got to take a test pretty soon, a couple more classes, and then I'll be certified and go out on my own, maybe. But yeah, I just came to...
What were you doing before?
Social worker. I was a mason. Been a school teacher, so lots.
You be a mason again?
No, I had a back injury snowboarding, so I'm beat up.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I just met your partner. Is it Caitlin? Yeah, I met her in Spokane. She asked me to come do this. I said sure, come do it. Didn't really, expect to be seated up here in front of everybody with the mic, but it's good. Yeah, you guys have questions about how we do our appraisals maybe. I could just tell you probably the biggest one is square footage. Basement isn't going to get you as much per dollar as above grade. We add up bathrooms. Bedrooms don't really matter. If it's a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, doesn't really matter.
Why is that?
Because it's all in the square footage.
Right, but the utility of the house is dramatically different if it's a 2-bedroom versus a 4-bedroom.
Yeah, but you get a price per square foot, so we add all that in. Now, but then you could say, well, you're adding up bathrooms, and that's in the square footage too. I didn't write I mean, all appraisers do it the same way. Yeah, it's just kind of how they do it. It's a good question, though. I think a 4-bedroom house has got a little more to offer than a 2-bedroom. But they could be really tiny bedrooms in a 4-bedroom house, and you have a 2-bedroom with master suites, and it might be appealing more to somebody that's looking for that. So it's hard, as an appraiser, it's really hard to compare different houses, apples to oranges. It would be great if they were all in a cookie cutter neighborhood with laminate countertops and same floor plan, but that's not the way it works. Yeah.
So I answer that question all day, every day, because I evaluate houses as well for insurance. We evaluate it on kitchen and bathrooms as well. And the quality of what goes into the kitchen and bathroom translates to the rest of the house. And that's where most of the utilities are coming out of the kitchen and the bathrooms. And when you go and look at a house, yeah, the master bedroom may look big, but the kitchen is amazing. And check out this really cool tub.
Yeah.
So that's where the value.
That's where the money is spent.
And that's where the emotional value comes when insurance value.
Yeah.
You say amazing kitchen, are you talking about amazing cabinets, functionality?
Yeah. So there's what I have 8 basic grades. It's like basic grade, custom, luxury, Home Depot special. It doesn't say builder's grade. And so depending on what level of inquiry, what level of quality you have in there, it changes the value of the house dramatically. Because that translates, because if you're going to spend luxury dollars on your kitchen, granite countertops, you're going to spend luxury on your carpet. You're going to spend luxury on your bedroom. You're going to spend luxury elsewhere in your house. So it's just a quick, easy way to evaluate a house.
Yeah. I think that's well said.
Nick, I had a question. I was curious if you ever, when you ever use a comp that's like a new construction versus an older house that's been remodeled, do you give much of an adjustment there?
Well, yeah, we value, you said on a scale of 8, we're on a scale of 5. And it's a quality is one of them and condition is the other. So the condition of the one home is going to be, brand new construction versus a 30-year-old home. You got a C1 for the brand new, C3 for the 30-year-old. Condition 4 is more of a home that's got some wear and tear, deferred maintenance. C5 is unlivable.
But if you have something that was just recently renovated, like let's say that 30-year-old home has brand new everything in it.
Yeah, so it's a 30-year-old home, but it's been renovated. You're gonna give it a lot more weight in the condition. Maybe it is back up to a C2, depending on if it's a remodel or if it's just been updated. You know, there's a difference there. If it's been remodeled, you probably did wiring, plumbing. If it's a full remodel, if it's just been updated, you know, you've got new countertops, maybe new appliances, that kind of stuff. So, you know, just trying to compare all those things. You know, you're not going to probably use a 30-year-old home on a brand new construction. You're going to be looking for other homes that are built within 5 years of that brand new construction.
Yeah, if you just can't find any of the comps though, and if you're comparing the two, I'm just kind of curious what kind of adjustment would you make on an average, you know, $600,000 house? One's like completely renovated, one's new construction.
Yeah.
One's a C2, one's a C, you know, 1.
Well, we're probably going to be, you know, you don't always look in the same neighborhood. Just because it's in the same neighborhood, you would rather branch out to another similar neighborhood, maybe across town. We're kind of looking for, if it's new construction, we're going to be looking for other new construction neighborhoods. We wouldn't take that updated 30-year-old home unless that's what your subject is. We do put a lot of weight on distance to town. If you're doing something in the Selly Valley, you're going to be looking, you know, that's 10 minutes to town. You're going to be looking for something in Sagal. If you're in Laclede, you know, for you guys around Sandpoint, that's 20 minutes to town, 15. Then you're going to be looking Coquilala or Naples. So I put a lot of weight on how far the commute is. I put a lot of weight on, is it flat usable land versus, you know, sloped and treed and not really all that usable. It'd take a lot to develop it to get to use the other acreage of the property. Yeah, I think that, you know, quality and condition, square footage, bathroom, kitchen, remodels, updating, those are all things that are going through our mind. You know, like views are definitely something we adjust for. We adjust on a percentage. If one's got a view and one doesn't, you know, it might be a 5% difference in the adjustment. You know, really banks want us to back everything up with data, which can be incredibly hard, you know, for like an ADU. What does an ADU give to a value of a property? Well, I mean, the best that I've seen is like those walnut homes over there by the lighthouse dressing. You've got one that sold within a month or two of the other one. That happened this summer. The one had an ADU above the garage, the other one had no ADU. You could see about a 20% price difference between the two. They were sister match homes. But that 20% doesn't always correlate if it's like an $800,000 home. All of a sudden you're going to adjust $200,000, you know, on $1 million home. You can't really give an ADU $200,000. It doesn't have its own parcel. It's just attached to that property. So maybe now you're not giving it 20%, you're giving it the same square footage that you gave the home. It's a hard job, I found out. I don't really like it as much as I wish I did. Because you're kind of scrutinized, you're under the gun from, you know, we're not trying to look at the sale price on a contract for a sale, but you're given that. You're told what the contract price is. I don't know, I think that's kind of bullshit. I think refis are more straightforward. Right now I'm doing a private for a guy who's selling his house to his kid, so I'm like feeling pressure to give this guy the most accurate number that I can so that he doesn't feel like he's ripping his kid off and his kid doesn't feel like he's getting ripped off. It's not an easy job. I don't, you know, I like it because it's better pay than social work, but it is what it is. It's work.
I was just going to ask, what are your thoughts on real estate agents either being at the
property, giving you comps?
Oh, I like working, yeah. I like working with real estate agents that are friendly and are active and you can have a real conversation with. I like it when real estate agents fill out the MLS sheet and don't just write quality Sandpoint, South Sandpoint home, and then that's all you get to read about it. I don't like it when they say below grade GLA is, you know, it's got to be, we're detectives on it. If you guys aren't giving good, accurate information on as a real estate agent, then we got to start digging and calling the listing agent, calling the selling agent. Well, how big do you think that ADU was? Because I can see there's an ADU, but there's no square footage on what it is. So then I got to start making phone calls. They got to start racking their brain. Well, I think it's about 600 square feet, but they're not there anymore. They're just guessing. Now my appraisal is less accurate. The county doesn't always have good, accurate records. So we're digging deep with real estate agents to get accurate, accurate information. If it's a manufactured home, it's sometimes difficult to tell if a manufactured home's been remodeled. So it's really nice in the first letters of the details on a manufactured home sale. Is this a manufactured home? Instead of me having to do the detective work to see if it is.
What's GLA?
Oh, gross living area.
Okay.
Yeah, square footage. Yeah, I like working with real estate agents that make it easier for us to get information. They answer their phone, easy to track down, friendly. They give us comps that they feel, but it can be tough. I had a Dover house that I did recently that was one of those Pomeranke ones where the lot is just the size of the house. So it's almost like it's a condo, but you actually do own the lot. But the real estate agent comped out the sale of this overpriced Pomeranke house with condos. And you know, condos get a lot per square foot, but I couldn't quite make value on this place and I couldn't use his comps.
How often do you use the comps that realtors give you?
I'll use them if I feel like it makes sense and that it's the same, similar age, quality, condition, location, then I'll use them. But if they're just reaching to come up with a high number, because some buyer might just pay that. I mean, in this real estate market, you name a price and a buyer might actually try and get that to happen unless it's a cash sale. We have to go back into the past and look for sales that have happened, and that may or may not happen, even though the house might be, you know, you have 3 or 4 people that want to pay that price for the house. We may have trouble finding that value.
What percentage would you say over the last year came in
Low?
at least at value?
At least at value? Well, I would say lots at least at value. Quite a bit more. Sometimes the real estate agent is leaving a little money on the table. I've done a handful where it didn't make value just because it was, you know, one was too close to the highway and the people thought it was worth this much money. I found sales that were close to the highway and nobody wanted to pay that kind of money because you got Highway 95 with big trucks rolling by 60 feet from the front door of the house. Yeah.
So how much are you held to the comps, like in a fast appreciating market?
Well, we're held, absolutely, 100%. But we do, you know, we're going to do time adjustments.
That's what I'm getting at, because I had a house that I sold for the comps, just say for sake of argument, like 500 in the area. The newest comp was like 7 months old.
That's a bad appraisal. In this market, it went up 2% a month. So yeah, so he should have added 2% of the sale of that comp per month.
That's what I was getting
I do that.
about to.
I've seen appraisers use 8-month-old sales and they didn't timestamp them. That's not good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. That sucks.
Go ahead,
Thank you. How do you treat refi appraisals? Different from contract purchase appraisals?
Well, you can't treat them any different. You're just not looking at a number in the beginning. You're just looking at the data and trying to put your finger on exactly what that is worth. So,
Because I like to like kind of burn them by buying the cash. And so, I'm trying to think in the future, how much do I think this is going to be worth?
Right.
Well, I buy it, I put this much into it.
yeah.
And so when an appraiser comes in and it's cash owned and it's completely different from when it was sold a year ago.
Yeah.
How do you treat that?
Well, if it was different than a year ago from...
Well, say I buy it and I do,
do a
50%
remodel.
more in terms of renovation cost over purchase price.
Yeah, we're just going to look at your upgrades. A good appraiser is going to ask lots of questions about what have you done in the last 5 years. Does it have a new roof? It's pretty evident when a kitchen's been remodeled and bathrooms have been remodeled, but maybe, you're not going to know as much about the roof, or, maybe you got into the drywall and redid plumbing and electrical too. That's something that holds a lot of value in a situation like that. So we're going to be looking for really it just comes down to our job is to scour the MLS to look for homes that have all these similar characteristics: distance to town, the view, quality and condition, upgrading, what's been done on an older home to make it different than just a home that hasn't been remodeled in 20, 30 years. It's dated. It's easy to look at the pictures and tell a dated home from a home that's obviously been tuned up. I was going to come in here tonight and talk a little bit about if you're a flipper, what should you put your money into in a house?
Yes, please.
Right. I bought my first home over there behind Life Care. It was one of Troy Krummenacher's homes. It was 2013 after the crash. I got a great deal on it. All my neighbors' houses look basically the same. And being a mason, I did all this stonework to the exterior and in the landscaping. And I was kind of naive. I didn't realize that wasn't really going to net me much more when I sold it. Maybe it sold faster. Maybe I made, I had a little higher price. So for people that are remodeling a house, it doesn't pay to do nice countertops and a nice tile backsplash, but you didn't do anything with those honey oak cabinets. You just left them the way they were. You got to you got to do the full pull on your kitchen remodel so that it doesn't detract from the fact that you actually remodeled it. Even if you just painted the cabinets and put gold, whatever's current of the time. I think just...
kitchens and bathrooms have always been a larger percentage spent.
That's where the money's spent.
But still...
we count up garage spaces. I see people get bummed out that their nice shop didn't get dollar for dollar value. You can't say that dollar for dollar value, because what if the husband and wife are coming in and they don't really care about the shop? They just like the house, but the shop is on the property. What's the average buyer going to pay extra to have that shop? You get a lot of RV storage. We give it a square footage value. Typically for a heated shop, we'll give like $25 a square foot if it's a nice insulated heated shop. If it's just a kind of a beat down shop that's older, down to 18 bucks a square foot. Barns, 10 bucks a square foot. Outbuildings for storage, if they're nice cedar sided and match the house, 15 bucks a square foot. That's just what the numbers are in our office.
Any kind of question?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about shops when you were going to start talking about it.
Yeah. And the way
I don't know, it seems so odd. It seems like sometimes buyers would pay $100,000 more to have a house for a shop.
the right buyer will.
And, in some places it only costs $50,000, $60,000 to put that shop in.
Yeah. The right buyer.
But I understand some appraisers can be pretty conservative with that.
Yeah, they are. I know. I think that a lot of appraisers are conservative, be it right or wrong. But you said that the right buyer would pay $100,000. A buyer would pay $100,000, but it's got to be the right buyer, somebody that wants to mess around with their shop. You got to look at the average buyer to see how they're going to react to paying extra for a shop. ADUs now, more and more, an ADU is pretty valuable because it can bring in so much more income now than it used to. So I think the ADUs need to go up, and we're trying to determine that number all the time. What is an ADU worth? Because more and more you're seeing it.
So, just do you ever do anything in Boone County, or are you mostly up here?
I'm just here, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm building an ADU detached. It's 1,000 square feet and paid in 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yeah.
And with the construction costs, it's cost me like about $160, $170 to get done.
You probably get like $75 to $95 a square foot for it on an appraisal. Because we take the average of all the comps in the report, and then we add that number up, divide by 4 or 5, whatever the number of those comps are. And then, since in a square foot price, you're actually, say the home was $1 million and it was a 1,000 square foot home, you're going to get a number there, but that includes the garage, which isn't livable space. That includes the site, the utility hookups, all the money that went into that property. So you don't get the full value of the average of all those comps. If you're following me, you get 30%. If it's a brand new home, maybe you get 40%. So we have to come up with a way to adjust between the square footage of all 5 comps. So we add them all up, divide by 4 or 5, however many are in that report, and then we take anywhere from 20 to 40% of that, and that's how you adjust out the square footage throughout that home. And that's where you might get 75 to 95 bucks a square foot for that ADU. That's about what you're getting for the house. That's kind of what we're doing for the ADU also, if that makes sense. If I described it well enough.
No, yeah. So the appraisal is a little bit shift.
You're not going to feel like you got enough for that ADU, huh? Because the cost of...
But I know on Airbnb, I should be able to make $4 or $5 grand a month.
Yeah, and that's why I think that ADUs might be valued more than the square footage of actually the adjustment on the house.
Right. I have a question. So it seems like there's a change happening with ADUs, and it's almost different. Like when you appraise income properties, you're married to other income properties. Is there ever going to be a look at ADUs as this is not the residence, but this is an income property?
Well, then now you're talking more of a commercial deal, maybe, or multifamily. I mean, income property. We're just doing residential single family, or I am. Yeah. I'm not a commercial appraiser.
What I'm saying is it's because the use is almost shifting.
Yeah.
Kind of a hybrid.
Right.
People are building ADUs as an income stream. Not just investors, but like, homeowners.
Right.
Hey, we're going to build this, and this is going to offset everything.
Right.
Its purpose is different.
Well, that's where I'm thinking the ADUs need to be valued more. If it's going to come from the top down, then the gods of the appraisal thing need to restructure their forms and start giving some classes on it, on how to change that view.
If that was, like, if I was the owner of an appraisal company, I'd be looking at that and saying, okay, what does this city look like going forward as far as Airbnbs go? These short-term rentals in the city lots or whatever, because like restrictions are coming up more and more across the country. So what does our city look like in particular? Like
right.
Creepy County and Sandpoint in particular. Well, I guess Sandpoint has restrictions already.
We do, yeah. But people are still going past those restrictions in Airbnb in them anyways.
But I like for me, if I was an appraisal and I'm, talking, the bank is relying on me to give an accurate appraisal, I don't think I would count an ADU as like an income-producing property per se.
Yeah.
Once, say, city comes in and really kicks into that, regulating the Airbnb space, then that ADU no longer is making income and that person can't pay the loan. So it becomes a risk to the bank.
Right.
So I don't think I would.
Unless the rules are already there.
Yeah.
Then because we use you're bringing up a good point. We use the sales comparison approach as the main way to bring up a value. That's comps that are similar, sales comparison approach. You're now going to get into the income approach with the gross rent multiplier. This is all stuff I need to study for my test, which, and I don't even know why, because we don't even use the income approach, where I'm not doing commercial properties. The cost approach is not really relative anymore because the cost of building materials has drastically changed in the last couple years. And so the cost services, the website that we use to determine the cost approach, because banks want to see the cost approach, we just write in our report, cost services aren't keeping up with the rising price of construction costs, so we're not going to use the cost approach in this report. It's not valid, and the banks don't care because they realize that it's all about the sales comparison approach. Once you get into the income producing properties, you know, multifamily and whatnot, then the income approach is done by a commercial appraiser. They're the ones making the tall dollars.
So, and maybe it's just the appraisers I've had before, but I've always seen a huge reluctance to go to appraise the value of a property above the contract price. And for at least the people that are in this room, we're often buying at well below asking price, well below what was the listing price, because we're all looking for deals, whether it's off market or whether it was listed and we offer 20% less and we happen to win and get it, or bought it at an auction. Like seldom are we paying full price for something, and yet they'll go up to the contract price and maybe give us a token $5,000 or $10,000 above that. But I've never seen an appraiser come in and say, yeah, good deal. Here's the value of your property is 30% above your contract.
I gave one the other day that was 50 or 60 over because I felt like it really was. I thought that the real estate agent left money on the table for the buyer or for the seller. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say, why does the appraisal always come in at the contract price? And it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
An honest appraiser.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just curious, I know you don't have a crystal ball as you all don't, but how do you feel about that 2% increase per month?
Well, we kind of saw that things leveled out in the fall. Actually, the market conditions report that you can pull up on the Flex or on the Selkirk shows like some decrease in value. The list price is not being met as often throughout the last several months. There's been sellers having to take less for their property than what they were asking. But it's hard to tell because there's such low inventory right now, and the inventory that is there is kind of doggy. Whatever's left over at the end of the summer and fall is now being sold, and those prices are going to drop because nobody in their right mind is going to pay $750,000 for a crappy house. Yeah.
But you've seen it pick right back up this spring? I
think it will, unless I think in North Idaho that prices are going to continue to kind of climb because we have what everybody wants right now. And despite a real market crash, I don't see prices really ever going back to the way they were, which kind of sucks for my buddies and anybody that didn't get in,
And you said you want to get out of here by 7?
Yeah.
It's about 7.
Cool.
So,
okay.
Any other questions?
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
How much do you factor in style of the house?
That's in quality. So if it's a square box, it's going to be a Q4, quality of architectural design. If it's a Cape Cod with dormers and lots of bump outs, it's going to be a Q3. Q2 is like you're going to be looking at your like post and beam, more of a high-end architectural drawing. And then Q1, I don't know what that is.
What about number of floors? 2-story versus 1-story? Does it matter?
Not really, no. It gets the same square footage unless it's basement, because basement costs less to build. I mean, I know concrete's expensive, but you don't have any exterior siding on the back of the house. Just a little cheaper to build the base to add that square footage.
Do you think the cost of appraisers are also going to go up just like lumber has? Like
It has. It's kind of weird. It's supply and demand. When you've got, 20 jobs a day coming in, it's natural for an appraiser to start increasing their fee to make what they can because inflation is high. We're trying to, survive in an economy that has become really hard to live in. If you're just making $40,000, $50,000 a year, why not try and make 60? So fees have gone up from like a house that's cookie cutter in town. That was used to be like $500 for appraisal. Now it's like $650, $700. So it's gone up a couple $100. The ones that get really expensive, like if you guys want to really know why you can't get an appraisal sometimes on a house that is a berm home with 30 acres, because nobody can find comps for those homes. So no appraiser wants to take it on. They don't want to rack their brain and try and make this comp fit and explain to the bank how they adjusted all these numbers to get it to fit this berm style home that's on a 30-acre piece with a creek or with the view. The more complex it gets, that's why those appraisals cost $2,000 and only certain appraisers want to do them. Yeah.
Are there appraisal jobs that are just out there sitting that nobody wants to grasp?
Yeah, they come through and they'll be there for a long time. That we'll see the same email over and over again. It might be just nobody wants to drive 10 miles up a dirt road to look at a house because there's easy jobs to get right in town, closer, So definitely, that's why some sellers can't get an appraisal, or a buyer can't get anybody to do their appraisal. It's because it's a unique house that, they may have to pay. I think I heard like $5,000 for an appraisal, not at our office, but another appraiser just did that this year. He made five grand on a really tough to do appraisal, and it's because of the uniqueness of the property. Hard to bracket.
So if someone wanted to become an appraiser, what are the?
That's hard because they have to do like 2,000 hours under a supervisor. The only reason that I got in to work with my supervisor is because she's retiring, and she didn't care if there's new competition for the jobs if the market crashes. Because if the market crashes, then real estate agents are now serving beer, real estate appraisers are now going to do lawn maintenance. So becoming an appraiser, you have to just do some online classwork, and then you have to find somebody to take you on as a trainee, and that's the hard part.
You run scarcity.
Yeah, you're creating your competition when you start taking on trainees. She's making 50% of my cut, so she's doing really well for a couple years. Need to take those classes, by the way. All right, well, thanks a lot, you guys.